Like you said, you'd been in the business now 17 years and worked in major companies, got to be involved with different storylines. Want to spend a few minutes just to talk about some of those. What were some of your favorite memories and moments from your time in the industry?
Oh my goodness, there's just so many. Like, I can't. Like, what era? Like, which one do you want? Because it's so many. Here's the thing, the beauty of my career is there's so many different eras of it. Because there was like the beginning, and then there was when I just was doing lucha, and then I got signed and I went to OVW, and then I was Ariel, and then I was Selena's, and then I got pissed off and I like took a time off, and then I came back and I was like this whole other character, and then I went back into the indies. And so it's like it's so hard to choose from that. So you got to pick an era.
Let's center it around your WWE and TNA runs because I know that's where a lot of the our listeners and viewers are watching and they
All
remember you
right.
from those days. So you were with Kevin Thorne
I
and
was.
had and
And
ha
go ahead, sorry.
it was an incredible pairing, I think, between the vampires, and I know that they were going to bring in Gangrel as part of like a faction. Talk to me about that. That's pretty fascinating.
This is the fun story about who is me, right? So I get signed in 2005, right? I go and move my life from California to OVW. Tommy Dreamer was like, look, you're going to be there probably for like a week, and then you're going to debut on with this new brew that they're going to have with Gangrel, Kevin Thorne, and Jimmy Wang Yang. And I was like, because I've always been into vampires since I was a little girl and I saw the Lost Boys. So I was just like, dude, this is freaking awesome. Like, are you kidding me? So I get to OVW and I got there in July. So it was shortly after WrestleMania. And for those of you that don't pay attention, after shortly after WrestleMania, that's when a lot of people get released because it has to do with their budget. So it's just business. I mean, I get it. There's some can argue, oh, they didn't want that person there, whatever. But at the end of the day, the black and white answer is it's numbers and it's all about budget. So they got to cut somebody. So I was at OVW for like a couple days, and Gangrel, Jimmy Wang Yang, and Kevin Seven was his name at the time, got released. So I was like, what the hell am I supposed to be doing now? Like, oh my gosh. So I did my whole run with OVW, which I'm really grateful for. That's when I got to work with Damian Sandow and Beth Phoenix. But the full circle was that June, Kevin Seven got his job back. ECW came back. They were hooked up with the Sci-Fi Network. From what I understand, the Sci-Fi Network wanted them to have sci-fi-esque characters, and so one of them was the vampire. So it worked out for me. So me and Kevin ended up being the vampires anyway, and it's so crazy because he got released on those like sweeps. So that whole year he was trying to get his job back. He got his job back, and were the vampires anyways. So it's so cool that even though at the time it sucked, that's how it happened, because that's like we were so meant to be the vampires. Like Gangrel, he was already known. We already know he's the vampire. We were the new breed vampires. And I think it's such a cool like thing, dude. Like I just can't. Like it's like a movie. Who writes this? Like almost a year later, and that's just our fate, anyways.
It's just really a fascinating gimmick, to have vampires and darkness and all this kind of stuff like that comes with that. And you were also in TNA working with LAX. How did that come about?
Well, I got released from WWE, and that's when, of course, I was like, okay, well, TNA. And as soon as my no complete clause was over, I had gone to a pay-per-view, but like just was behind the scenes, kind of talking to them, whatever. And that's when they offered me, they were like, okay, we're going to have this women's thing. So we'd like you to do that, but we're not sure if want you to manage the LAX team. So dress as if you were to be their manager, just so we can like see how it looks or whatever. And for me, here's another interesting thing. When I was in WWE, I was Ariel. So I had my TV time. I was not worried for my job at all. When I would be in Kentucky, because I was still living there, when I would go to the gym, that's when I would watch TNA because I was very unfamiliar with it, but it was on there in the cardio room. So I was like, okay, let's check it out. And some of my friends were on it. So I was like, okay, let's see what they're doing, support my friends. And that's when I first saw LAX when Conan was with them. And I was like, dude, going back to earlier, what we're talking about, these are like my cousins. I get this. And so in my head, I was like, if something ever were to happen with WWE, I could see myself being with them, and this is how I would dress. This is how I would do my entrance. So while I was doing cardio as Ariel, not thinking I'm not like going to lose my job at all, confident in that my job at WWE, there was just something in me that was preparing, like how I would come out like this, and I just like whatever. And then lo and behold, I get fired. TNA's like, they have no idea that that's what I was doing. So I didn't pitch it. And then they're like, we're thinking of this. Let's try it out. And I was like, oh, this is going to happen. This is my auditions pretty much to see if I'm going to be with them. And so that's how it happened. And I was on a podcast yesterday and I was just talking about this. People get upset. They're like, oh, they get upset that Ariel was cut short, but it's like Ariel had to be cut short so that Selena's could be born because at that time, that's when the women's knockout division was at the beginning stages of really being like what it is. And I wouldn't trade that for the world to experience and share the locker room and the different experiences I had during that era of TNA. Like I learned so freaking much in the ring and outside of the ring and about myself that I wouldn't trade it for anything. Ariel had to be sacrificed so that Selena's could be born.
Yeah, I mean, when one door closes, another one opens, and TNA at that point, I feel like really paved the way for the current state of women's wrestling, where you have a wide array of stars stacked, and I think it really helped usher in a new era for women's wrestling. So amazing, looking back at it almost 20 years later,
Oh my
and
gosh.